Hello, my name's Zachary Smith. Today I'm going to be rehauling my pedal board. This is my current setup. I'm going to be kind of going through it and changing up a few things along the way to see if I can get a bit of a more streamlined kind of setup here. So my current rig is this, and it's kind of an interesting setup. I have two tuners on it, if you can see here, and two separate channels really. The 2 notes torpedo cab here is kind of the amp simulator I'm using, and I have kind of an electric setup which comes in here at the tuner, goes into the molar overdrive, into the delay, into the reverb, and into the 2 notes. That's kind of electric rig. And then I have an acoustic rig which starts here with an AB box between 2 channels, and that goes in, so that's kind of for banjo, acoustic guitar, mandolin, dobro, all those kind of instruments that I play. And then in the effects loop of that I have the tuner down here and this other reverb. So that gives me the ability to have one rig, one power supply for 2 different setups. So I'm going to be changing this up a little bit. I'm going to be trying to see what I can do about having just one tuner and using it for both rigs, because I'm not playing both rigs at the same time. So I'm going to try and basically have a row of pedals down here that can be used for either an electric output or the acoustic output. So I'm going to walk you through how I try and figure that out. I designed this rig here at the end of last year for a cross-Canada tour that I did, and so it was really made for having a banjo, a mandolin, and a lap steel. And so now that I'm doing a lot more streaming concerts, I'm playing more solo stuff, I want to change up the rig just to fit what I'm doing right now, but hopefully it also can function as a rig for that. The other important thing to note is that I cannot change the size of this format because I have a Pelican case that fits as a carry-on luggage, and it fits this exact size pedal board. So I need to keep things the same size in that way and just try and squeeze as much functionality as I can out of this board. So yeah, what I'm hoping to do is basically have a split happen. I'm going to set up a little kind of guitar input for electric, which was going to be, I think I'll use some kind of box right here, just under the tuner, and then basically have that box split the signal where I can go all the way from a tuner through all these pedals, get rid of these 2 in place, because what I really want on this rig is to have a compressor and possibly some kind of modulation effect. And so by getting rid of these 2 pedals, which are redundant because I have 2 tuners and 2 reverbs on this board, so basically I'll have separate outputs but with one set of pedals effects, if that makes sense. Everything on this board is being run by this, I think it's called, I think you pronounce it Chox DC7. It's a great power supply, totally capable of doing everything. These are some interesting pedals to power, like we have a 12 volt torpedo cab, 300 milliamps. This is 15 volts, 300 or 400 milliamps. So I needed a very specific power supply to handle this stuff, and luckily the Chox just does a great job of that, and it's also great for touring in Europe because it just automatically switches. It's a switching power supply, so it'll be able to handle the different currents. Okay, so I'm going to be pulling this apart, figuring out how I'm going to split the signal. I might have to buy some things, so this video might take a couple days to put together. I'm not sure at this point. If I have quite a bit of stuff in my studio lying around, so I might be able to find the things to split the signal that I want. Alright, so I'm just going to get going here. We'll start pulling this board apart a bit and see how far we get. It was great having this rig just the way set up it was. You know, it's super simple in terms of having 2 channels with 1 power supply. But you know, it's in terms of getting the most out of your space, having 2 tuners and 2 reverbs is really not the way to go. I might end up using this reverb, which is the Electro-Harmonix Holy Grail. But right now I'm using the EMT plate setting on the Hall of Fame Mini, and it just is the sound that I want. And so I'm just happy it's a small pedal, and it's exactly the sound I want. This has a few more options, you know, spring and hall and room. The nice thing is I haven't used this pedal with acoustic instruments yet. I've only used it on my electric channel, and so if it's not working with acoustic instruments, then I'll probably have to switch it out to this reverb. Okay, so I've done some digging in my studio here. I found this old DoD passive mixer, and I think I'll try and make this work. Take off the pots and try and make this work as a kind of splitting hub. You know, come in with the guitars, go out here, and then I might drill one more hole in here and come back from the pedals and then go back out to the different things. Kind of be a nice way to just keep everything in one box. Obviously it requires a little more cabling, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So I'm just going to open this up and see what I'm dealing with. I was trying to use this mixer on my pedal board at one point to be able to do kind of a wet-dry thing where I could blend in some other stuff. I never could really get it to work the way that I wanted to, which is unfortunate, but maybe this will end up being a cool use for this box. I'm trying to figure out how to mount this underneath the pedal board because I don't want to use any of the space above here. And I would want to reuse these jacks. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but pretty simple layout. So I think I could figure out how to wire this all together. Pretty neat. Yeah, and then I would just drill one more hole so you kind of have a send to the pedals and a return. And that would come, yeah, split into 2 jacks for both of those. So let's see how far we can get with that. All right, so I got the drill out and put a couple holes in this case. Decided to put one in this. It used to just be the 4 here, right, and 1 here. And so I decided to put one in at this end. And then I was like, well, I might as well balance it out and put another one at this end. And so now I'm just going to wire it together. What I need to do is have basically, this will be the electric guitar input on this end. This will be the acoustic preamp effects loop in on this end. They're both going to run to the same jack here. So the first jack will be the send, the pedal send. Then I'll come back, pedal return. after it's gone through the whole pedal board. Then I'll have 2 jacks, which are the outputs. Alright, so here we are. Last night I did some modifications to this DoD passive mixer, and I rerouted the cabling inside and took off the potentiometers on the top. Now I have 2 inputs, a send and return for an effects loop, and 2 outputs. So that effectively is going to work as my box to use a bunch of pedals for my acoustic rig and my electric rig on the same pedal board. I also picked up today this, which is the Walrus Audio Deep 6 compressor. So I'm going to have that as part of the effects loop. I also picked up this new pedal, which is cool. This is the Caroline Guitar Company SOMERSAULT. I'll give you a look at that. This is kind of a chorus effect with a few extra options. So there's that. Yeah, so I'm excited to put these 2, which are new to me pedals that I bought used, in place of the pedals that I had on there, which were, I had 2 tuners initially and 2 reverbs. So I'm taking these 2 pedals off the board, making space for those 2 new ones, and having everything run through an effects loop, a doubled effects loop. So I have 2 inputs and 2 outputs. Okay, so I have the board wired up here. Here's on top of it. So basically what's happening is I have these 2 inputs here. An AB box is built into this preamp, so I have an 2 acoustic instrument inputs. That's going into the effects loop, which can be turned on and off here. The effects loop is then all of these pedals, so it goes tuner, compressor, the Walrus Deep 6, T-Rex Molar, into the analog delay from Maxon, the Hall of Fame Mini, and then the SOMERSAULT. Out of the SOMERSAULT, it goes back into here, which is the return. That same effects loop is duplicated, and I have an input on this side of the board underneath here. If you can see that box. So that box will be my electric guitar input. That gets duplicated coming into the tuner, through all the pedals, and then out of that box and into the 2 notes torpedo cab. So basically what we have there is all these pedals are being used for this channel and this channel, but they're separate outputs. So we have a separate output for this and a separate output for that. I haven't tested this yet. I don't know if it's going to work or if we're going to have weird buzz, but hopefully everything works. Okay, so in the end I ended up having a bit more trouble with that pedal board. It didn't come together the way I was hoping. One of the main things that happened was that my radial box here went down, bit the dust. I plugged it in and the power was working fine, the lights are on, but the signal just kind of fades out after about 20 seconds of it being on. So this acoustic preamp, which I've literally toured with for the last 10 years, bit the dust, which is sad, but maybe I can get it repaired, I don't know yet. And so because of that, I've taken it off the board and done a little bit something different. So yeah, I'll just show you right now how I've had to kind of change the board in order for everything to make sense again, now that I don't have the preamp with the effects loop. Okay, so this is the board as it stands now. I've moved this box, which I built, to the top. You can see everything's labeled now. I have send, return, 2 outputs, and then the inputs are on the end, so 1 and 2. I was actually having trouble with this box as a completely passive box without the buffers that are in these Boss tuners. So by putting the 2 tuners in as the first thing for my acoustic and for my electric, that solved any problems I was having with this box. There's something wrong. It doesn't quite work if you just plug in your guitars directly into this. I'm not very good at electronics, but anybody who is would be able to tell you why. Anyway, so then everything, the signal, the send and return start here at the compressor, overdrive, chorus, delay, reverb. The return starts here and comes underneath and plugs in there. Then out 1 is going into the 2 notes torpedo cab. So then I have an output for my electric guitar, and then out 2 is just going directly into this DI now. So that's my acoustic channel. Anyway, so the board didn't come together the way I was hoping, but everything's working, and I'm happy with that. Thanks so much for watching this video on this pedalboard rebuild, and then you know, that little kind of turn at the end where things didn't go as planned. But now everything is up and running, and I'm happy with the way it sounds, and that's what matters.